Hey everyone, welcome back to Design Pop. I know you are going to love this one. It's all about performance fabrics, and I am so happy to have Jack and Elise here from Crypton. So we talk about trends, what's happening in the market, tips and tricks, and today we're going to be talking about performance fabrics. You know what that means? That means when your kid cuts himself or herself and bleeds all over your sofa, you can actually clean it. Or if your dog vomits or actually has an accident, you can clean it. Or if you have a sweaty husband, you can clean that too. I actually learned how, which was amazing to me. So let's get started. We are starting. Hello, hello, hello. I'm honored that you guys are joining me today. So I'm a consumer and I'm walking into a retail store like Our House or Pottery Barn, and I'm not buying through a designer. Not everybody does, unfortunately. Hello. Anyway, I'm looking for a sofa, and I know that I want it. I've heard of this thing. It's called performance fabrics, but I really don't get what it is. So what should I do? How do I figure out, what the differences are and what I should be getting on my sofa?
I think that the first thing that consumers and people who are in the market for an upholstered piece in their home, I think they need to ask the question of where is it going to go first? So is it going to be on a big sectional? Is it going in your dining chairs? Is it going in a sunroom? So depending on, where you're putting it, that's one thing to consider. Then I think the next question is, what kind of fabric are you envisioning? Are you envisioning something like a linen or a chunky boucle or a velvet? I think that's one thing to consider also. Then the next thing is, within the performance bucket, like what kind of cleanability level do you want? Do you want something that is easy to clean with an everyday household detergent or cleaner you have in your house, soap and water? Do you need something that's bleach cleanable, something that you really want to wipe down because your kids go crazy and eat and spill and make a huge mess? I think it's just first thinking about how you're going to use the piece and then making a decision based on that. The thing I think that we want people to come in and ask for Crypton, because we have so many options. If you do want a velvet, if you want a linen look, if you want a chenille look, if you want a fabric that is designed for the inside of your house with the technology that's permanent and patented and has been in the market for 25 years, I think Crypton is the way to go. So I think it always kind of comes down to the consumer, asking and telling where they're going to use it. And then the person in the store can kind of help direct them from there.
So really what I'm getting out of this is Crypton is truly the most similar to normal fabrics, to fabrics that you might know that you're comfortable with than any other brand out there, that you have it down in terms of a velvet, of a chenille, of a linen, of a cotton, of a polyester, and of a boucle, do you have a fur? Boy, it would be great.
We have like a faux shearling that's coming soon, which is amazing.
A faux shearling would be awesome. Like anything that we know that we're familiar with, in layman's terms, and Crypton can deliver that. So your versatility is key.
We're going to steal that. I love that. It's the closest to a normal fabric. I think that's a great explanation because we don't have restrictions that a lot of other people have based on fiber and types of, you can only do it this way, you can only do it that way. We have greater versatility than everybody else, which does make it closer to a normal fabric. I think that's a really good term.
Yeah.
But I promise you will hear from us a lot.
Okay, moving forward, we will hear it. I love it. So Jack, you're here from Crypton, and as a designer and as a consumer, I am really curious to understand and know what is Crypton?
Sure. Crypton is a performance fabric that was designed for indoors. It's so confusing when you look at performance fabrics and how do you get there? We get there with a variety of fibers and an immersion treatment that puts a prime coat on the fabric that becomes soil, stain, and antimicrobial resistant.
Our clients understand that there are performance-based fabrics out there. What they don't get is that there's Crypton and Inside Out and Revolution. And I think the other thing that they don't get, or they just don't believe it. Like, I think there is such a belief proposition that nobody can understand that it really does what we say it does. So if you have like a lot of I mean, this is gross, but say you have a lot of body oil. I mean, some people do. I mean, you know, you never know, right? Like, or they sweat a lot, and now like that's like kind of like it's, you know, sometimes people admit it to me. I have to admit that I hear it, and
Oh my God. Yeah,
So-
you can never be surprised by the complaints that you get from for what is on the fabric. And people will not tell you the truth. Even with pets. You know, we'll get something that it'll be dog hair all over, and they'll say, "Well, I don't understand. We don't have pets."
Okay, wait.
And
So we have dog hair,
body oil.
we have oils, we have, let's think of all the things that, like, all right, wine, we know you've got wine covered. We know you have like tomato sauce covered and ketchup covered, right? But then there are these like secondary areas that are a little bit harder to clean typically and a little deeper. Like my dog vomited, my dog urinated, my kid vomited, somebody bled. Ew.
Yeah.
The body oils that I was discussing, the heavy sweater, sweat person. Like, what else can we think of that's like kind of like nasty that can get all over your sofa? And it does happen. It's life. So can you get that out?
Yeah, the answer in most instances is yes. In the food category, mustard is the toughest stain to get out.
Okay.
Blood and urine, things like that, that we were built for that kind of thing because we started in the healthcare arena.
Okay.
So that the fabric needed to be cleanable in that area also. The body oil thing is not easy. I got one from a consumer who told me about her husband had excess body oil and she couldn't get it out of the fabric, and what was her solution? And I told her divorce.
Well, wait, I have to be honest. I had a bed, an upholstered bed. Oh, my husband might kill me. And I tried to resell the bed, and I didn't even notice this, but I guess his head, like his head oils got all over the back of the headboard. It was so disgusting, and I couldn't sell the bed after that. And it was like really not that old, and it was a perfectly fine bed. So you really do have these issues. You know, we keep trying to tell people to use white and cream, and they can go lighter, and they're still so scared. So getting the client over that hurdle and the customer over that hurdle to understand that it really is safe and that it really will hold up, and you can have a white sofa, a dog, drink wine, have 2 kids, and maybe even step on your sofa is like a big deal, and it actually does work.
The biggest appeal to performance fabrics, specifically the type of performance fabrics that we offer, are the ability to take those chances in terms of lighter colors.
I agree.
So as much as we introduce color and vibrant and brighter and different, when you look at the end of the year and say, what did you sell? The answer is still a lot of neutral.
I mean, do you see the same thing as me that, you know, while people might want a white or a lighter sofa, they're also looking for pops of saturated color to liven up their spaces now that we've left the gray world.
Yeah.
You know, people are really looking for and seeking color in their homes. And so it's great. I mean, I've noticed that Crypton always has a wide array. What do you see that's going to be trending in the color market for next season?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is organic colors. So what's happening, you're seeing corals and more brown neutrals.
Saffron colors, like desert kind of colors, greens, like that paprika, and things like that, I think that are going to be really hot in the next couple of years.
Yeah, you're seeing an evolution of what you saw in neutrals a few years ago, which was white and gray.
Right. So now we're getting a little warmer, we're getting more earthy, we're getting more organic. You're seeing the loft of the fabrics lift, so it like kind of resembles more of a sandy feel or a beach or somewhere in nature is coming into our fabrics, I believe.
And I also think that there's traditional elements are coming in terms of when you go to patterns, you're getting more traditional elements with a modern interpretation. I mean, if you look at some of the fabrics, you'll see like a traditional Greek key that's been contemporized.
What makes it contemporary?
It's partly it's about the fiber, partly it's they're taking like a real structured edge and maybe softening the edge up and making it just a little bit softer and a little bit more transitional. So that's happening with cords and with Greek keys and with traditional damask fabrics that used to be single color. Now you're getting pops of color, monochromatic in traditional designs, which are making them contemporary and transitional.
I have a question. What about, you know how like you can do printing on just a cotton and it's crisp? Can you do a cotton Crypton and print on it?
We can, and we're starting now. Yeah,
That's exciting to me.
You can digitally print on Crypton. So, and we've got it with some of our distributors. We're going to introduce it into the furniture market probably next season.
Ooh.
And you're able to do customized fabrics for small yardages.
And you heard it here first on Design Pop, for sure. I mean, I really see the market potential for that, and that's super exciting because we love cotton prints or linen prints. And we just find, though, that, you know, even in a pillow, people want a Crypton pillow. So if we can have that explosion of pattern and color in small runs, that's fantastic. So I have, this is Vanguard. For anyone who's watching this, Vanguard is a manufacturer that makes, you know, upholstery product and case goods, but mostly they're known for upholstery. And they've been using Crypton in their line. And so we specify almost all of our sofas now with Crypton fabric. I mean, we won't even consider any of the other fabrics in the line unless it is, quote, performance-based.
Vanguard is a great example because Vanguard is a higher end furniture manufacturer. And as performance fabrics evolved in the beginning, performance fabrics were normally in the lower end of the market.
Yes, like Revolution.
It was a bad name. It was like Herculon, you know, at awful furniture stores with awful furniture manufacturers.
Yeah, remember those suede-looking performance fabrics?
Microfiber.
Microfiber. Yeah. Everybody thinks of a performance fabric and they think of microfiber from like 1998 to 2004. Yeah. So can you explain to me the feel of Crypton fabric and how it's so comfortable? Like one of the fictions, the myths out there, I think, is that performance fabrics are scratchy and somewhat ugly, dated looking. I mean, your product obviously has all of the patterning, it has the fiber content, it has the color range, but does it have the feel that we are looking for today?
It does. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, we're taking more chances, not just with fiber types, but with yarn structures. So we're doing a lot of soft bouclés. We're doing bulky chenilles. We're doing things that really provide softness and loft. And then it becomes a trade-off. You're looking and you're saying, okay, we've got pretty stringent tests for wearability within the product. And when we broke into people like Vanguard and Century, the styling needed to really go up. And that's when we started to take chances with different fibers. We waited probably 5 years into our existence before we tried to finish a velvet. And we've done that successfully. We've done it without impeding the pile of the fabric and getting tremendous results of cleanability and repellency.
It's not your mother's performance fabric, I like to say. I mean, today's performance fabric, this is one of yours. It looks like a velvet. It feels delicious. Same thing with this one. You know, this one looks more like a linen. So when you were saying that you can weave in all these various different fibers, I think that's what's making a huge difference, you know, for your product and for the acceptance of the product.
I think that because people are spending more time in their homes, especially with everything that's happening in the world, people want, you know, cozy, comfortable, soft, just textiles in their home more than ever before. And I think that's why we're seeing this increase, not only in performance, because people are like living, their sofa's also like their schoolroom and their Zoom, their conference room. But I also think like this idea of durability plus like the cozy, you know, you want to sink in the corner of your sectional and really like feel engulfed in whatever the textiles are. So I think there's that element as well that we're seeing a huge trend in like these super chunky chenilles and people wanting that plus the durability and the cleanability.
So speaking to the cleanability, does soap and water do the same thing as bleach? Like the fact that you can't use bleach, but you can use soap and water, am I getting the same result from the fabrics being cleaned?
We believe you are. Now, when you bring performance fabrics into your home, we find it hard to believe that you want to go around your family room and bleach clean it and then go back and sit on it the next morning. It just doesn't feel right to us. So we look for a different way to create performance and to create cleanability.
Okay, so you have a disinfectant spray that you can buy on Crypton, right? So say I'm watching this and can I use that disinfectant spray on other fabrics? Say I have a sofa at home and it's not Crypton's. Will it work on anything else or just your fabrics?
You can spray it. It's not a permanent disinfectant for that. Really, that's made for hard surfaces, but people are spraying it just on their fabric. They're not saturating it. They're just spraying it on the fabric.
So I have kids, right? And like my 16-year-old had a party and now her friends are over and somebody was exposed to COVID and one of them sat on my sofa. So can I then take your spray and kind of like spray it on the sofa, let it air out, and then revisit it in a day and feel like, okay, we're a little bit safer than we were before?
I think you could say you feel a little bit safer, but we can't make any medical claims at all. And that's an interesting issue because people now with COVID are starting to overpromise what their fabric or what anything can do. And so you can't make any kill claims on any kind of upholstery fabric. What you can say is with our antimicrobial, it inhibits the growth of bacteria. So it's not killing it all, it is inhibiting its growth. And that should be a comfort.
That is a comfort. Also, I noticed that on your website, I got this from, one of my manufacturers, but as a consumer, you can go on Crypton and order a kit and like see for yourself how this whole thing works. Moving forward, what do you see happening with the colors, the fabrication? Let's just go out maybe 1 year. I mean, we spoke to what's happening now with comfort and earthy palettes. What's next? What's after that?
I do think that you're going to see a little bit more pattern as accents. You're never going to see giant repeats going back on sofas and then using the plains as accents, which is what used to be. But I do think you're going to start to see a lot more pattern and utilizing pillows for pop of color. There's been a ton of mid-century modern and a ton of farmhouse. And I think people are going to start to move into more styles that are usable in different areas of your home.
To me, that means more neutral fabrics on larger scale product, really more monotone palettes throughout the home so you can move pieces from one place to another, right?
I think that's what's going to happen.
So, Jack, this has been great. Thank you so much for all this education. I learned so much. That's why I love doing Design Pop, because it's always a learning lesson for me, even though I've been in the industry for some time. And I hope that the people who are listening also got a lot out of this. I think it was really educational.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you again. And it's a wrap. Bye.